Yo, did she really say that?
No, I think she did.
Yeah, what's good, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry's Sistas review. This is season 4, episode 9, entitled Counter Punch. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, you already know what it is and what it will always be. So without further ado, let's get into this thing. So the show opens up with Zach getting arrested. I'm all for Zach reaping the consequences of his actions. However, the brother still has rights. I don't feel bad for Zach. Let me put that out there. I don't feel bad for Zach at all. I don't feel bad for the brother, but he still do have rights, even though I don't like him. But he wasn't told why he was being arrested or the nature of his charges. And so I said this to somebody, was like, well, maybe it was a warrant. That's fine, because even if it was a warrant, he still has the right to read it. So I'm like, you can't even keep the brother in jail because y'all gonna let him out off of a technicality. It made me think about Medea when they did Mirandize her, and she was like, you gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. I was like, that's what y'all about to do to Zach. We know Zach ain't gonna be in jail for long, but I'm like, my God, don't let him out early. Build the suspense. Let us figure out what's going on. So basically, Jake was there, and he kept telling Jake, he told Jake about 6 times to call Fatima, as if that was a hard instruction. I said, he got his at. Please don't let him say call Fatima, not near another time. I said, okay, now see, we getting back to this repetitive cycle of words, of sayings. I said, Lord Jesus, at least let me get through this episode, please. Oh, Father. Next, we get to, and that was a real quick scene. So we get to Andy and Fatima. So Andy tells Fatima that she's falling for Gary's, in my personal opinion, I'm going to say it, narcissistic antics. Andy calls herself stupid, which I am in total agreement with. Fatima tells Andy that she isn't stupid. This is a prime example as to why Andy chooses to tell Fatima certain things and not the girls. Because one, Fatima doesn't know all the information regarding Gary. I believe that if Andy would have told that to her friends, they would have agreed that, yes, Andy, this is stupid and you're better than this. And they've already had this conversation with Andy multiple times concerning Gary. Fatima is not aware that Gary bruised Andy's ribs. She's not aware that Gary squeezed Andy to the point that she passed out. These are things that Fatima doesn't know. That's why I always say, and I stick by the fact that Andy isn't anyone's friends. She just uses them. It's good that she can, throw things off with Fatima because, like I said, Fatima doesn't know all the details concerning Andy's dealings with Gary. So Fatima walks out, and then she comes back in. I believe it was like I think it was like a ball of rubber bands. I think that's what it was. And I was like, Andy don't need no damn activity. Andy does not need an activity in order for her to leave Gary. Andy knows what she needs to do, yet she refuses to do it. I understood Fatima's sentiment, and I actually thought it was very sweet, and I thought what she said sounded really good, but it just doesn't apply to Andy. This is something that Andy has chosen to be in, and this is something that Andy chooses consistently and constantly to stay in, even though it is toxic as hell. Like, to me, there's really no conversation left when it comes to Andy and Gary, but I digress. So Fatima tells Andy that Zach is blowing her mind. And I mean this with all sincerity. I really do. Other than blowing Fatima's back out, how and what is Zach doing to blow her mind? I really want to know. And I was waiting patiently for sis to give an example. But I guess even Tyler couldn't come up with one, because I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Are we referring to the photos that he took of her as she slept, that he had, printed out by a professional photographer? I'm not understanding what Zach has done. And like I told somebody, I've tried to like Zach. It ain't gonna happen, so I'm not gonna ever like him. But still, I give him his props when it's due. I don't know what he's done. I don't see what he's done. Now let me say this. I'm all for Fatima and Andy having their little rapport with each other, for them being cool and all of that. But I cannot stand the fact that Karen consistently comes up in their conversation. There is no reason that Karen nor Karen's pregnancy should be the topic of their discussion. So basically, you know what I'm saying, Fatima was like, if it's Zach's baby, we're going to get a paternity test because she did sleep with Preacher Man. I said his name is Aaron. We're not calling you the other woman. We're not calling you any other name other than Fatima. I'm going to need you to call him Aaron. You've met him. He's been nothing but respectful towards you. So don't do that. But it furthermore displays that, to me, Andy's just not a friend. And then she had a nerve to say, now, wait a minute, that's still my friend. Is it really? Because I don't understand why when Karen comes up, there is not a swift, hey, we're not going to talk about that, Fatima. That's off limits, Fatima. You my dog and everything, but that right there, or Karen, we won't be discussing that. It just baffles me. It just baffles me how we, to me, consistently see Andy saying that she's friends with these women. And to me, this episode, to me, it truly displayed Andy is not friends with any of them. But, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. So, Maurice and Sabrina. So, Maurice asked Sabrina not to call the cops on Q because he's a good guy. I said, what? He a what, Maurice? I'm not understanding where these excuses are coming from when it comes to Maurice taking up or having Q's back. It baffles me. The fact that Maurice actually has the audacity to try to convince Sabrina of such nonsense after this man put a gun to her head. If I was Sabrina, I'd tell Maurice he could kiss my entire ass. And like I stated last week in the review, it's puzzling that the situation with Q is being treated as something so nonchalantly when he clearly had a plan to rob the bank. And he did that. He messed with Maurice in order to get in so that he could do that. This was a well thought out plan. I still don't understand how this bastard is out of prison. Who you turned in? You were the ringleader. It just, I just feel like Tyler made this so unbelievable and made this storyline so incredibly stupid that it doesn't make sense. And I just cannot understand the purpose that Q is there. So while we on Q, I'm just going to talk about that because y'all know I don't like him. I just want to get him out the way too. So Sabrina ends up walking to her office because I don't blame her. I don't want to hear what Maurice has to say about this man who you're asking me not to call the police on. So at the end of the episode, toward the end of the episode, Calvin walks into his home. He sees Q sitting on the couch. Like, what the hell are you doing here? Oh, it's okay. Maurice know I'm here. You don't have to call him. He called me and told me he's on his way home. We find out that Q is lying. When Calvin calls Maurice doesn't even know that Q is there. I do like the fact that Calvin put Maurice on speakerphone because he was able to hear Maurice tell him, you need to leave my place. I didn't invite you there. You shouldn't be there. I would have called the cops immediately. There is no conversation. Maurice said he was on his way home, and I'm just sitting there like, this nigga broke into your house, Calvin. Not only that, even the fact, like I said, Maurice attempting to try to convince Sabrina that he's such this nice guy. The first thing that Q did that was suspect, number one, he stole Calvin's checks. He tried to cash Calvin's checks. That was the first thing he did before he went to the robbery. And I'm just like, but even with Calvin, I didn't forget. Calvin was the main one telling Maurice, you should be there for him. You should work with him. You should help him. You should get close to him. Well, we see when nothing happened. Everybody on this damn show give everybody bad advice. Okay, just horrible ass advice. And I'm just like, you know what? Please write Q off this show. There's no validity to him. There's no reason why he's there. So Danny and Logan, I'm not sure what we're supposed to feel with them. I'm not sure. Are we supposed to like Logan? Are we supposed to feel that he could be a possible good match for Danny? I'm not understanding what's going on with that. Personally, I don't like the character of Logan. I don't like him. Number one, I do not like how he barged his way into Danny's apartment to prove to her that he was a police officer. There was a better way to do that. That was scary. This is a woman who lives by herself. You are a man. You have a gun. And bump the fact that you're a cop. She doesn't know that. So I don't like him. Secondly, he's at the airport. I was really, championing the fact that we were going to be talking about sex trafficking in Atlanta, which is happening everywhere. But I was, really here for the fact that I thought this was going to be a great storyline to add to the show, give it a more serious vibe. But that has not been the case since the initial opening of that particular storyline with Logan. And half the time he's at the airport, he's pushing up on Danny. Do your job. You are a police officer who's undercover, and all I see him do is push up on Danny. I'm not here for it. I don't know what's supposed to happen with that, but I don't like it. Remember, think about Madea in her Madea family reunion play when she met her granddaughter fiance, and she was like, I don't like him. That's how I feel. I don't like Logan. So this is an example of when I say that Andy is not a friend. So Andy calls Danny, which I was like, what? She calling who? She calls Danny and she invites Danny out for dinner and drinks. Andy sounded so fake. Andy sounded so fake and uncomfortable while she was talking to Danny. And you know what's so funny? I thought about this, and I could be wrong. And if I am, I know someone will correct me. I can only remember Andy called. This was the second time that I have ever seen Andy call Danny. The first time I seen her call Danny was in season 2 when Andy ass was stuck in the woods after Gary took her to that house in the middle of nowhere. She called Danny. And then she called Danny tonight. She sounded so uncomfortable, like, yeah, let's go out for drinks. No. And so Danny was like, oh, let me call Sabrina and Karen. She was like, no, just you. So I was super interested, like, what the hell does Andy want to talk to Danny about with just them two? She's never invited Danny anywhere by herself. I was super curious about, and you know what? There was a little part of me, a little piece of me that wanted to give Andy the benefit of the doubt as to the reason that she was calling Danny to go out for dinner and drinks. But then later we find out the reason why she called her anyway. Oh, stay careful. But anyway, so Bio and Sabrina. So Bio, I don't know if this happened when y'all watched it, but when I was watching Sistas, it was almost as if I missed some of that particular scene, because when it came back on, he was already in the midst of talking to Sabrina. So I don't know what happened with that, but I'm not feeling this storyline at all. Now, Bio is wealthy. Bio is wealthy. He likes Sabrina. He tells Sabrina that, she reminded him of the women in his country. I said, they have multiple wives over there. I said, Sabrina, leave him alone, baby. It ain't worth it. Leave him alone. One thing that really gets me about some of these men on the show is that they are so aggressive. I'm like, first of all, Bio, we don't even know you, and you already trying to take our girl to another continent? You're not trying to even take her within the state of Georgia. You're trying to take her to Africa. We don't know you. But when I said 30, that's it, that $36 million. I said, oh my God. Oh my God. Sabrina was taken aback too, because I believe he was trying to withdraw I think it was $207,000. They didn't have that kind of cash on them. So she was like, oh, I can call the other branch. She was like, no, that's okay. That's okay. I just leave. And I'm like, so did you just do that so she could see what you was working with financially? Because even if you couldn't take the 207 out, you could have took something else out. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not feeling this bio. I'm not. Maybe if Sabrina and Bio had like great chemistry, but I don't even see that with them. I don't see like the sparks. I don't see that. So maybe if that was the case, maybe I would like it just a little bit. But he's just way too aggressive. And I guess that's on brand for, not trying to be stereotypical, but I had this African guy who was trying to talk to me, and yeah, that is, extreme. I do like aggressive men, but not like that. Not to the point that you make me feel uncomfortable. And I just think he's just a little too much. But we're going to see what Sabrina do when it comes to that. So, Maurice was a plum fool about, basically Maurice was like, he would give him head. Like, do you know what I would do for that kind of money? And the fact that he did this in front of, like, because I said that bank is just off the chain. Maurice he need to be fired. Maurice need to be one of the people that work from home. So we get to Karen and Aaron. So Aaron shows up at the salon because he is super anxious about the paternity of this baby, which, I can understand that. So he texts Karen and she doesn't respond, which does spark him to show up, because she was like, oh, and you showed up anyway. I said, Karen, I'm sorry. I said Karen's attitude is shitty. And sorry, not sorry to the people who don't want to admit that. Okay, it is what it is. So basically, Aaron just wants to know, like, I guess he must have sent her a timeline or something. So he asked her, like, what did she think about it? Did she see it? And so she was like, yeah, she's still sticking to the fact that it is not Aaron's baby. And so Aaron asked, like, when are you going to the hospital? Because I can understand, like, why he wants to find out. He was a little pushy to me, but I do understand, like, I want to know if this is my child, because he doesn't have any children. He obviously wants kids, and he wants to know. So he asked her which hospital she was going to. She tells him. And so he's like, oh, I know the chief of staff there. I can get you in. And she was like, no, I want to wait my turn. I said, what the heck? What, Karen? You want to wait your turn? I'm like, I'm not understanding why Tyler is writing this character to drag her feet on something that is so serious. Something that can change the course of Aaron's life and something that can change the course of Zach's life. Why would you not want to get in to be seen? So she tells him that they were seeing that they could fit her in. I said, fit you in? Don't you have an appointment? Or so I said, this is Tyler's jacked up ass writing. You don't know what to believe. You know what I'm saying? You say you had an appointment next week. Now all of a sudden they're trying to fit you in. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And I'm like, as somebody who is a Karen rider for real, it's just so disappointing. So Aaron, you could tell that Aaron was upset. You could tell that Aaron was hurt, because Karen really was just giving him the cold shoulder, honestly. And so she was like, I'm going to call you. I'm going to let you know, like, when I find out something. And so he leaves. Karen couldn't give two damns that Aaron left until Pam said something about him crying in the car. And she went out there and she did apologize. And she was like, her hormones, and she's not feeling like herself. And I said, now, we got to be honest. I said, now, Karen, sis, you acted like this before you was pregnant. Okay, you was snappy. She had snapped at Aaron before. So I'm like, is this really the pregnancy, sis? I don't know. We can leave it up there for possibility, but I don't really know. And so basically, she was telling, Aaron was telling her, like, how much I love you, how much I want to be with you. And she told him that she wasn't there and that they could be friends. She said the F word. I said, wait a minute. Not the F word. Friends? We can be friends. Huh. I said, Aaron, baby, roll up your damn window and roll the hell off. Friends. Now, I do understand that Karen needs to get herself together. She feels that she's not in a place to be with anybody, and I understand that. And she told, Aaron that she needs to figure some stuff out, and he needs to figure some things out. And he was basically saying, what the hell am I supposed to be figuring out? Aaron is very sure about what he wants. He's sure that he wants to be with Karen. This is the woman who he wants to be with. And he looks so sad. I said, Tyler, I don't like how you got my man looking out in these streets. I want that confident Aaron that was there. I want that Aaron that told Karen, you won't talk to me like you talk to him. Like, I mean that. I want to get back to that Aaron who was like, you too raw for me to touch you, when he told her that. And I'm just like, I really want Aaron to just step the hell off. And as he said, well, I won't call you, I'll let you call me. I really hope he does that, because Aaron has said that multiple times throughout the seasons, and it never works. He'll tell Karen, I'm going to leave you alone. He pops up at a house. I ain't going to talk to you no more. I ain't going to call you. He calls her. He shows up with flowers. And I just, and it's sad, because I'm just like, this man really wants to be with this woman. And she's just really not in the position emotionally to reciprocate what he gives. And she isn't. And I will give her that. But that friends, I was like, Aaron, baby, just roll out. And, she was like, talk to you soon. For what? What are y'all going to talk about? I don't understand it. I keep hoping for this turnaround. I keep hoping for us to see something different. And I'm just tired of just seeing my man just out there, looking hella foolish, as if this is the only woman that he can get. Like, let Karen do her thing. Let her, deal with this pregnancy and everything like that, and just only give her what you're willing to give at this point. I can't stand it at this moment in time. It's just horrible. Boy, that F word stunk. I was like, damn. Not friends. I said, Lord, had my man in there crying, wiping his little eyes and stuff. Oh, heifer. But anyway, moving right along. So we get to, and this is why it is so important to not deal with anybody that's still hung up on a past relationship, because it always come and bite the other person in the ass. Now, I'm not saying that you may not be with someone who will always care for an ex, or who will always have this person will always have a special place, or always have love for them. I don't mean that, because I have that myself. But if I'm wrapped up in a person emotionally, and I know that at any given moment I can backtrack to that person, I would never allow anyone else to get caught up with me, because at the end of the day, and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to end up hurting that person. And I just don't like that Karen, at one point, it looked like she was all in with Aaron, that's what she wanted, that she wanted to be with him, and all of this good stuff like that. And it's like, at the end of the day, it almost feel like, you've been playing with him. Because just what? In Tyler Perry land 2 days ago, you had this man in your bed. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, now I just want to be your friend. Man, you can miss me with that. Anyway, so Karen and no, I'm missing the part. Andy and Gary, make this quick. They are just a waste of script paper at this point. I don't even. They literally say the same things to each other every week. I'm all in. I want to be with you. There's no other woman for me. Andy, let me show you. And let me buy you a Rolls Royce. Let me get you a penthouse. Let me get you a ring that you need my ring to unlock. Let me set you up a trust fund. I'm tired of them. There is no purpose. Andy says the same thing. Gary, you say that all the time. Gary, you're not going to change. Gary this, Gary that. Just why? Why, Lord? That's all I got to say about them. I don't care. When he was like, let me come over. Let me give you a tour of the house. A what? Didn't you just give her a virtual tour? I said, Tyler, please. What are you writing, sir? That's all I got to say about them. Moving right along. Fatima and Hayden. I don't understand this either. So Fatima sees Hayden. She's laughing. I don't find that funny. I know some people do. I know the Fatima riders. I know y'all find that funny. So a majority of y'all, I'm not gonna say everybody because I don't know that, but majority of y'all do find, Fatima and Hayden, what she did to him, funny and everything like that. I think it's horrible. I really think it's horrible. I'm like, now the thing that made me chuckle is not even that I found it funny. I'm trying to understand why Fatima ass keep harping on the fact that Hayden punched her. I'm like, sis, did you forget what you did to him? You had on brass knuckles and you hit this man multiple times in his face. You're lucky you only got hit one time because any other man would have beat Fatima's ass. Okay, wouldn't have give 2 damns if she was a woman. Okay, so I'm like, I'm not understanding why she's so upset by the fact that he actually hit her. That's what made me think something is off with Fatima. I like Fatima, but something ain't right. I'm like, I always say she touched. Something is not right because she continues to bring that up as if she is offended or appalled that this man hit her. And so he was like, I didn't do anything to you, Fatima. Now, I don't think that Hayden did anything that warranted that. Now, he was, doing the most, but nothing that warranted what happened with that situation. That's just how I feel about it. Others may feel differently. But basically, she was saying that he threw the first punch, and the first punch was messing with her man, and what she did was a counter punch. She was like, so what happened? We not going to hear this no more. So basically, she telling Hayden to shut the hell up. Don't bring up this situation again, and everything will be copacetic, and you will still have your life. That's what I got from what baby girl said. But, okay. So Karen and Andy. So Andy comes to the shop in the Rolls Royce. Of course, nosy ass Pam sees it and she's, oh my, Andy, that's your car? Who car is that? You look nice. And she's always nice to Andy. She's always nice to Andy and always complimenting her. And so Karen comes in. So finding out that Karen wasn't there, my initial thought was, oh, were they able to get her in at the hospital to be seen? That's what I thought. But no, she went, got some supplies, and she asked Pam to bring them in. So basically, Andy was telling her about the whole thing with Gary, and they were going to go out to dinner. And Karen was very short with her responses, like, don't do it. He going to do this. Excuse me, he going to do that. And I'm just like, excuse me. She was basically telling Andy, you're going to do what you want to do anyway, so there's really no need for us to have this conversation. That's how I felt about it. What's the purpose of having the same conversation over and over and over again when Andy's going to do what she want to do? And Karen called her out. She said, I know you're going to call Danny. And she did. And I said, oh, that's why you called Danny, because you want someone to agree with what you want to do. I said, you little stank heifer. You don't want to spend no time with Danny. You ain't trying to talk about nothing. If I was, Danny ain't turned down no free food. But in my mind, I would have been like, oh, so sis, you invited me out, so let's talk about this. What's going on with the lawsuit? What's going on with us being sued by Gary's ex-wife? Because we ain't heard nothing else about that. That's what I want to talk about. I'm like, so that's why you invited Danny out. Because you want somebody to agree with that bull, and Danny going to be the one to do it. So basically, Karen tells her about, when she goes to the doctor, and Andy tells her, when she goes, she wants to go with her. And Karen was very nonchalant, like, yeah, okay. And she was like, Karen, I want to go with you, when you go to the doctor. And this is my thing, because a lot of people had a lot of stuff to say, even myself included, when it came to the women really not being there for Karen with this pregnancy. But at the same time, Karen has to make herself available and have her friends feel like she wants them to be a part of this, if that's really what she wants. Because when Andy said that, I would think for me, if I was going through, a time where I'm pregnant, I'm really not sure who the father is, even though she says she know who it is, and I believe his ex-child. When my friend said, Alicia, I want to go with you, I would have been like, thank you, girl, because this has been rough for me. I just think because there are no women writers on the show, we miss those opportunities where it's like I could be bear with this person just for this moment. Like, yeah, it's a lot. I'm dealing with a lot, and that would be great if you went with me. And so it's just certain things that we miss out on that just gets totally overlooked. And I feel like that was a scene that it just was what it was. Very surface, it was very it was very Andy and Karen. You know what I'm saying? So where they are in their relationship right now. So the last scene is with Zach and Jake and the lawyer. So we in there, and I'm just like, he was like, Jake, what's going on, bro? And so Jake was like, you want to tell him? Nah, you want to tell him? I said, somebody tell the man something, damn it. I want to know why he in jail. Like, what is going on here? What is going on? So he was like, did you call Fatima? No, I was about to, but I didn't. Like, okay, why not? Well, I don't think you want her to know this. I'm like, well, dang, what happened? So the guy, he was like, in order for me to help you, you need to tell me everything that you know. So he kind of just flips this report to Zach. And I think Zach said something like, you got to be kidding me. And that's how the episode went off. I said, you got to be kidding me. That's how I feel. So we got to wait till next week to find out why Zach got arrested, what he's in jail for. And we're going to see how this, how this turns out. We did see, I don't remember everything that happened when they showed the preview for next week after the show. But I do remember it appeared that Karen, it was at nighttime, and Karen was outside of Zach's house, and she was talking to Fatima. And I believe she said something along the lines of, like, I can't believe he's doing all of this for you, like, within 3 weeks. And I was with him for 3 years. When I tell y'all, I am so sick of Karen and these damn 3 years she keep bringing up. Karen acts like she had 3 great years with Zach. Karen didn't even have 3 okay years with Zach. She didn't even have 3 so-so years with Zach. I said, Tyler, please stop writing that 3 years. Because at this point in time, those 3 years mean nothing. They mean nothing. And why is Karen outside of Zach's house? I am so sick and tired of this character being written as if she is desperate for Zach, as if she can't move on emotionally, that she can't want better for herself, that she's pining after a relationship and a man who didn't do right by her. It's sickening at this point. It's something. It's just something. So we'll see next week, what's going to happen, with that or what have you. We'll see. We see that Danny finds Preston out on a date with another woman. I guess his black fetish is just in full effect, because I guess he done had some black cat, and that's all he want from this point on, because that's all we see him with. So I'm just like, Danny, we'll see what happens. I ain't gonna assume. I just feel like anytime that Preston is out on a date, Danny pops her ass up and shows out. But just like we always say, they're not together, and Danny can sleep with who she want to sleep with and have these men in her house, the same rule apply to him too. They not together. He can see who he want to see. Danny, stop popping your ass up at every date and stop making your presence known. Leave him alone. But we'll see what happened, y'all. That was the review for Sistas season 4, episode 9, Counterpunch. So thank you guys for listening like always. And until next time, I will holler at y'all later. Bye.